One, we got to naturally lead into this now. All right, this is what am I calling this thing? Ministry Matters podcast. we doing outtakes, or what do we call it? The blooper edition. Bloopers. No, we're doing Mama's basement edition because we don't have a basement, but we're here at Mama's house, Nana's house. I'm here with Ishmael Harley. I've had him before. Talking a little bit about his story, a little about his life, a little about his ministry, what he's been doing. And I shared on the podcast a couple episodes ago about how coaches impact lives. I'm in the profession of coaching, have been used in that profession a couple times. Also a preacher, pastor, got a pastoral heart. I also believe that God will be using me in that platform again at some point. I just know that this has been a season where he's put me back on the football field, and currently I'm a track coach, son, so I can get you. I don't know how I ended up in that role, but if you guys need a good instruction on how to run, I know how to do it. I ran from the law a lot of times in my life. No, I'm playing. I did. I ran from God. I ran from the law. Got pretty quick for a big boy, and so. No, I'm coaching track now. I'm back in that platform. I shared that with you guys. We're talking about you guys like they're listening. It's just me and Ish. But I shared how coaches impacted my life. A little bit of my testimony, how my father was, for the most part, he was there sporadically throughout my life. Just, a couple times a year we would get together. But for the most part, did not have that fatherly influence in my life, so I gravitated towards coaches. So I wanted to get Ish back on here because every time we talk about life, about ministry, about just, getting through everyday life, you're always bringing up, how your coaches have impacted you on some level. And usually you've been in environments where your coaches were also Christian men, people who were trying to at least to some extent follow the Lord. And I just kind of wanted to have you on here again, share some of your heart, share some of your thoughts about how coaches have impacted your life. So it's about, he's dressed like an Eskimo right now because he says it's too cold up in Mama's house right now. But I ain't turning the heat on. I'm sorry. This is almost summertime. I know it's freezing in here, but I get hot, and I'm drinking some coffee. So
This is cold.
Can y'all, speak up now. You got to speak up now.
It's cold.
It's cold. All right. So tell me, I guess your first encounter, or like how coaches began to influence you in your life, whether it's a Christian coach or not. When did you first get into sports? How was that? How did you interact with that role model? How did they impact you negatively or positively in your life, and just kind of how did that make you turn out the way that you are today? What do you appreciate about it? That sort of thing.
Well, I guess like the neighborhood coach growing up was a guy named Coach AJ, and like he was in the neighborhood. He kind of like had like his own little Cowboys football team. So I would always see him. He would always try to come recruit people and stuff like that. My mom was too scared; she didn't want to let him play. So he was the first coach I really encountered, but like never really had like a relationship with him. One of my friends did, obviously, but I didn't. But the first coach that I ever came in contact, first two coaches I ever came in contact with that I had, just relationships with Coach Clark and Coach Buck. And I can just always remember them always saying that, life is more than football. And always just trying to tell us, don't cheat here because you might end up cheating in real life. Don't take shortcuts, is what they were trying to say. And stuff, and so, with the coach's heart, they have to come to you more in a grimy way. But they talk to kids how, they talk to them. They encourage them how they encourage them. It wasn't the time of Coach Clark. He'd tell you straight up that if he loved you, and I think he loved all his players. He had a special relationship with some, and with others he just had, like I wouldn't say just a very deep depth relationship, but it was a relationship regardless of the fact or whatever, of some sort, because obviously that's one of his players. And so those were the first two coaches I really encountered that really impacted me a lot in growing up now and just being an adult and doing life and paying bills and all these other type of things. Like realizing, like, man, like life was exactly how they said it was gonna be, and realizing that now. And then every once in a while I bump into Coach Clark. And, you know, he'll shake my hand, dap me up, and we'll talk for a little bit, going on about our business. But I know he still loves me. I got much love for him. And Coach Buck, I ain't seen Coach Buck since middle school, but I know it'll be the same thing with him. And so,
Coach Clark and Coach Buck. And
Yeah.
that was like sixth grade football or something like that, or fifth?
Seventh grade.
Seventh grade football.
Yeah.
Was that where was that? Sowell.
So, yep.
Sowell. And then AJ, you said, was a neighborhood football coach.
Yeah, like
what?
He's kind of like
We didn't have him.
kind of like the hood neighborhood.
No, okay. See, in our neighborhood, we played football every day or baseball or something in the yard, and if you got the status of coach, you weren't good enough to play in the yard with us, so we called you the coach, and you, really and truly you were just kind of like, you stand over there, we're gonna play football over here. Now I'm playing, but we didn't have the. Usually everybody was all in, and we just played. We just kind of made up the rules as we went. But no, that's cool though. You got a big brother type guy in the neighborhood that's kind of giving some, I don't know, was it positive advice?
Yeah, I mean, mainly it was a father figure to a lot of
Father
us.
figure.
A lot of us didn't obviously have fathers.
And talk about that for a little bit. What's it like in the community you grew up with? We talked a little bit about that before, but in the community in general, you don't have to go into specifics unless you want to about your life or whatever. But in the community that you grew up in, how important was that father figure role? Because for me in my life, personally, I felt like in my life, in my world that I was living in, I felt like it was just a few of us who didn't have the father figure. The rest of my friends had fathers and things like that I would gravitate to. It's kind of, I believe, just from our conversation, the culture and the area what we grew up in. Yours is kind of your world was a little bit flipped compared to mine, a little different than mine. And so talk about that and how important that influence was, not just for you, but for you got a lot of people there who needed that father figure in their life.
Yeah, like I said, just me growing up, specifically speaking about my community and just being around my culture. A lot of young black men didn't have fathers growing up, so we would bump our heads a lot. If we didn't have our dads, we had our granddads, and sometimes granddads weren't always around because they either stayed at another part of Jackson or they stayed out in Raymond or Pelahatchie somewhere where they got some land, and they finally got away from Jackson because Jackson just was still rough back then.
Oh, come on, it's great. It's a great place.
And I mean, I ain't gonna say it's not a bad place.
You got some good places.
It's a good party. You got your little Fondren and Eastover, all that. But I mean, other than that, people pretty much, they tend to try to move out of Jackson. But
you definitely got to be careful in some places.
Yeah, you do. You gotta be wise, make wise decisions. But
mainly because of potholes. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned that in my last one. The roads get rough, and then people don't want to take care of stuff. Don't know where the tax dollars are going. We have no idea.
Hey, Coach, you hit a pothole. Sometimes I stop and pray. I'm just
driving by one the other day, people were swimming in it. You know what I'm saying?
You dodge one and then you hit another. So that's how it is in Jackson. I'm sure.
So AJ was like a big brother, father figure to them. Speaking, what's something that you can remember? You remember anything that he, any kind of direction? Was he the one who said, or was it the other coaches who were talking about don't cut corners in life?
That's Coach Buck and Coach Clark.
Okay, so anything that you remember specifically from early childhood?
I remember with AJ, it was more of like he was always just he would always try to come recruit you. He would be like, man, let's keep you out of trouble, that type of stuff. Like he was never that type of guy where he was gonna encourage you to do something bad. From what I saw as a kid growing up, like I said, I didn't know him too personally, like my other friends did, but from what I saw from him, just the small amount of time that I got to spend with him and be around him and the conversations that I had with him and him trying to recruit me, play football and all that, he was just always like, this would be a good opportunity for you, and it can keep you out of a lot of trouble and things like that. So just kind of like, it was real good to see somebody who was, definitely a part of a sport you like, and that growing up as a kid playing neighborhood football, like you was good, fast, could do things, and your friends saw that too. And if your friends saw it, they're like, bro, if you play, you'll be good. But if mama says no, mama says no. If grandma says no, grandma says no. So it's kind of like, regardless of the fact that if he was gonna take the position of being a big brother figure or even a father figure, like at the end of the day, parents have to say so. But he definitely affected a lot of the kids in the community, and definitely pushed them to work hard to make the right grades in school and to have a good education, respect their teachers, respect their parents. So like he was a good guy. Like it's one of them guys, like I guess just growing up, like probably like the late '90s, probably early '90s. He saw a lot of stuff. Like he came up, he probably grew up like Ice Cube and a lot of stuff, and he probably been through a lot too. So I think that's why he was so adamant on just trying to push positivity in the community and things like that, because some of the stuff he saw, and I'm pretty positive he still has some homeboys who were probably active and doing some stuff and all that. Probably family members too, but he's a good guy. Yeah, super good guy. So
you see a lot of people with, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. You see a lot of people with good hearts that are, obviously, for my theologians out there, none of us are good. No, not one. I understand that none of us are righteous, but there are people who have those qualities where they're wanting what's best for people. They're wanting, they have love in their hearts for people. They care about people's future. They care about their community and that sort of thing. You see a lot of those type of people getting in, or taking on a coaching role, whether that's organized, whether that's through the school system, or whether that's through organized youth sports or something like that. But that's the type of people you get. Some weirdos every once in a while to be joining for the wrong reasons and aim to harm. But for sorry if I offend anybody, but for the most part, like that's the type of. That's why you always find, oh man, Coach so and so, that was a good dude. Coach so and so, man, he was a good dude. Now might have had some stuff missing up, might have had some improper speech and things like that. But for the most part, wanting to get these kids out of trouble, wanting to let them feel included, wanting to get them and put them in something productive that's going to help them in the future, so that they don't join another type of tribe that's going to cause them to be doing the things that are going to lead them down the wrong path and lead them to jail or something like that. And that's one of the reasons Mom, I guess the mentor in her life, said get your boys in sports, get your kids in sports, because that's going to keep them out of trouble. It's going to consume their time, but it's also going to give them be part of something that's positive, something where they're going to have those type of people pouring into them, hopefully teaching them. And as you transition into 7th grade football, where you actually start playing again, and then you actually are allowed to play, get in there and start playing. You've got these two coaches who were teaching you not just principles on the field, but those principles, and I love the sports analogies because they transfer into life. And you've come across good coaches if they're constantly, it's not about just winning the ball game, it's about bringing those principles, getting them instilled in you so that you can succeed past the sports, because they know that this is not the end, right? Now the good thing is when you get that coach who has that kingdom mindset too, right? That's going to teach you all those life lessons. And I'm with one Coach Anderson right now that he makes it a point. It's always a life lesson. You can write a comedy skit about it. There's always going to be some sort of if he's giving you a life lesson, there's always going to be a football analogy or something like that, and he's going to try and transition into that. That's how you need to be, Coach. And he just always likes to look at things from that perspective, because it's a calling. He's got a calling as a coach, but he's also, at the end of the day, hey, you kids need to know Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And listen to that the other day, and I'm kind of off the, but I'm at a coaching clinic the other day with a group of men who are trying to, advance in their degree. We're down in Tunica, a little temptation down there to hit the jackpot. No, but I went in there. We didn't do any of that gambling stuff. I didn't anyway. The rest of them, some of them did. But we're listening to awesome speakers, and one of these guys that were speaking amongst these college, Lane Kiffin and people like that, Ryan Kelly, was JA's football coach, his head football coach, and he had gone all through I think RPOs or something like that, and developing going through his system and everything. At the end of it, he says, "And guys, you need to be preaching Christ to your kids." So everything was all football, all business. And then at the end of that, he says, "And guys," to a group of men, with their notepads in hands. I was just proud of the moment that there's other people that have the same pursuits. And yes, this guy's a successful football coach, man. Shout out, successful football coach, loves his job, wants to talk shop. But at the end of the day, it's like, I know this is most important. If you're not preaching Christ to these kids, then we're missing it all.
Right.
And and I saw that also with Oklahoma's head coach. Well, I say Oklahoma's head coach. He was talking too about defense and things like that. Now he didn't go to the level where he said Christ specifically, but he was constantly, like I said, that good heart to, man, you need this in life, right? We want you to be successful in life. We want you to be able to, life's tough and you got difficulties you got to have to go through, and man, this is the way it needs to be. So it was like preaching the positive, but leaving out I just wish you would have went a little bit further with that. But it just kind of shows you the heart of coaches, why they get in. They actually care about people. They actually care about the development of our youth and their futures, not just about their trophies and their championship teams or anything like that. And when you can find people, and a few like that in your life, man, poured into you, then I think you found a good thing. And so continue on, I guess, your journey with these two coaches who are, hey man, don't cut corners in life. Don't cut corners out here on the field, because you're going to develop a habit that's going to cause you cutting corners in life. When we cut corners in life, what's the danger of cutting a corner in life? It's wisdom, man. What's the danger of cutting corners? Not doing things by the book, not doing things by the rules that are given to us. What's the danger of doing that in your community? If the kids decided we're not going to listen to what you're saying, the kids at Cy will decide we're not going to listen to Coach. We're going to Coach Clark, that's his name. Yeah. We're not going to listen to what he says. We're going to cut corners in life. What's the danger of that?
Well, just in my community, from what I see, Coach, is just like a lot of the young black males, one, they don't have any guidance. The ones that do have fathers, you can tell there's a difference, and the ones that don't, you can definitely just pinpoint them out. And I think some of the kids I grew up with, some people I grew up with, I remember at times for a fact, Coach Clark, Coach Buck be like, he's seeking for attention. Like if he wanted it, I give it to him. That type of thing. But they were saying in 11 ways, like, you don't have to make yourself, you don't have to be an outcast from the group. Like, we're here to love all y'all, and we're here for all y'all. And they proved it and showed it every day. But like a lot of the kids, like they don't know about the things that probably are taught in the white community. And a lot of my friends, was having babies in like 8th grade, 9th grade. A lot of girls that you kind of grew up with, like, started having kids like 9th, 10th grade, and so you just started seeing like, dang. And then what coaches taught us is like more so like, if you do something that you're not supposed to do, which you do something with a girl, like intercourse, and then next thing you know, she gets pregnant, and granted, you probably don't want to take care of the baby because it's a lot of responsibility. You can't just say, oh well, I'll do that and with her and then not take care of the baby. Like, obviously you have to take care of your business, and now you have responsibilities as a father, and as her baby's father. And I think that sometimes when with kids in my community, they're carrying around the burdens of adults. I don't think that's meant to be. Me, kind of having somebody like you in my life, Paul, Brad, Will, Pastor Scott, and just Luke and plenty other people, Adam, Jordan, Ash, and like all those people in my life growing up, having those people, like you got outside of the main group of people, you got like a Jonathan Reeves or a Walker Moeller, those people. You see so many of those people being faithful to their wives and just respecting their wives and showing you what it's like to be a good father and encouraging you and loving you. You're like, man, like I didn't. It just kind of catches you off guard. You're like, wait a minute, like this is there's a correct way to live life and there's a correct way to do things, and that leads back to the Bible. And I'm not saying that Coach Clark and Coach Buck didn't have a sound doctrine background, but there wasn't obviously much talk about the Lord, especially in football. In our community, it's more like God on Sundays. Throughout the week, we do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, from what I've seen, it's the same in the white community. It's just very different. Just things that aren't pinpointed like they are in the black community. But there's just no guidance, coach. And like when you have coaches that are willing to tell you their mistakes and put their personal business out there to share with you, and then you find out something about your coach, you're like, wait a minute, coach ain't perfect.
Right.
And it's like, dang, all right, well, now I can be more comfortable with you because you're being real and open with me. And it's like I never had that. And so with Coach Clark and Coach Buck, it was just so different. They were just real and raw, and like rugged. Like they'll give it to you raw. They'll be like, look, this is how it's gonna be. If you don't like it, quit. Period. And they gave you the option, and it was up to you to quit. And if you wanted to cry about it, complain about it, if you wanted to, half play, do whatever, just be like, get off my field. Go put your helmet and shoulder pads up.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, as I transferred over to, Hillcrest, and then you get with Coach Montgomery, Coach Wooten, and Coach Day, and
shout out. Shout out.
Coach Ware.
Coach Day. I remember old Coach Day. Always smiling.
Old Coach Day. And then you got Coach Ware, and then Chandler Key, like somebody that Paul Epperson, really poured into and got to know while he was a Bible teacher at Hillcrest. And like you get those people, and then he's coaching me my 9th grade year, and
yeah, somebody let him coach. Somebody let Chandler Key. Chandler Key, if you're listening to this, can't believe somebody let you coach.
He can coach. He
coached him.
He's a good dude. He's a good
I know it, man. We spent many times talking about Jesus.
Yeah, and so then you got somebody like him who his life, like he hit a big transformation, and like God, has changed him so much, and obviously he made mistakes amongst his head, but he learned and got the mentorship he needed. And he's a different person now. But like coaches, I think coaches make a difference because like coming from my community and then coming to Hillcrest, it's just like with Coach Montgomery, you can see that he was there and he was on a mission and he was, like wanting to have a relationship with the kids and wanted them to do the right thing and remember that it's more than football. He would always tell us that too. It's more than football, and he would always implement God. We would pray before, after. He always tried to implement God in things. Coach Prather as well. With him in basketball, I always tried to implement God in things, and so like me, pretty much I guess I'll say from the other side of the train tracks, I was very blessed to have, Coach Wooten, Coach Montgomery, Coach Prather, Coach Ware, and Coach Key, Coach Chandler, and like Coach Day and a few other people who were in and out of my life, and like who impacted me heavily because they got a chance to hear some deep dark secrets and things that I've been through in my life and just kind of like my mistakes, and then when you hear from them like their mistakes and them telling you to keep going, then you trying to get better at the sport, remembering plays and stuff like that. Like Coach Wooten stayed behind me all practice all the time, throwing me slants, throwing me deep balls, everything, catching them. I miss a ball, do push-ups, this and that. He always tell me, you got it, issue, like don't give up, that type of stuff. Not having a father and then having somebody like that in your life who would stay behind with you, throw balls, take you home, before he takes you home, so you want to get something to eat.
Yeah, man.
Then y'all get something to eat. Then it becomes deeper. Now you're building depth with the coach, and like that's the same thing that happened with you. Remember the first time meeting you, and like then from on it just came like depth. Like I built a relationship with you. Same thing with Coach Montgomery, and same thing with Chandler. Getting rides from him sometimes. Him taking me home, and so like you're looking at all these people you got, and you're grateful because there are differences in cultures, 110%, and I think everybody knows that's 110% evident. It's obvious. The way that black and white people do things are very different, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with saying that. I think it's just truth. But
and Mexicans, because we are what you call we were talking about earlier. His buddies, we're Colombian, we got Latino. We all have different cultures. It's not that the other culture is weird.
Yeah.
It's that we see it as weird sometimes, depending on what it is.
Yeah, because you don't know.
It's foreign to us.
Yeah, it's foreign.
And so understanding your culture, understanding where you're coming from, is definitely necessary for relationships. And coaches are about if they're not just trying to advance their career, you know what I mean? If they're truly in it as for the calling that it is, not just ministerial calling, but just for the calling that it is, then they care and they want to build those relationships, and it's inevitable. That's the best part of coaching is it's aggravating sometimes when you see a kid who's left behind at the school and you're driving after a football game on Friday night and you're leaving, you've been there all day, you've watched kids all day long, you've taught all day long, you've gotten ready, you've played a game, whether you won or you lost, you're exhausted. You saw all the fans, all the family yelling and screaming for their kids and all that other stuff, and at the end of that ball game, you're pulling out of the parking lot at 11:30 after you finish all your stuff, or 11 o'clock, and you see one of the kids that's on your team standing there in the parking lot. And you're like, what are you doing, man? And he's like, I need a ride.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, when was you going to tell somebody you need a ride? Well, your parents not here? And then you drive them home, and the parents are parked at home. Has a car that's operable. It's just kind of like it's heartbreaking, but you're aggravated at the parent. You're aggravated, like, man, you know what I mean? Like if I would have, that kid needs somebody. That kid needs love. And it's those times that you're, I guess, frustrated and you're tired and you gotta. But it's at the same time. I remember it wasn't y'all like you guys were left alone or anything like that. Like you and Mario, or I took Mario home like so many times.
Yeah.
And it was late at night. I'm gonna be honest. I'm uncomfortable in certain situations because I look different than the rest. And I'm gonna be honest. I grew up in Jackson. I've been scared of places, and yeah, I was uncomfortable, but I did it, man. And I would not trade that for anything because number one, one of those times you jumped up on the side of my truck and called me some wrestler's name or something. I remember that. And had that big smile on your face. That's the first time I think we ever really kind of got to know each other. But
Mason Ryan.
Yeah. And I'm like, who's this kid, man? Get him off. I shook you off like a little, get off my truck now. I got to go. No, but it's those moments. It's me taking that kid home. It's coach taking that kid home. It's, hey, you gonna take him home or I'm gonna take him home? But it's those moments in the car. You're driving home from the track meet, with somebody, and you're just like, man, that I look back on those are the times that I value the most. And it's that relationship building, and it's knowing that you are serving a greater purpose, man. Whether that's you don't say a word on the way home or not, that kid experienced love, and I'm gonna make sure they know it's the love of Jesus that's driving me to do that. And because otherwise, like, hey, good luck getting home, you know what I mean? But I think all coaches, at some level, even if they don't have Christ in their life, they have the unique ability to identify that need. This kid needs something. This kid needs love, and they have a heart's desire to meet that need and give them something that they see as lacking. And I think back to your neighborhood and your community and seeing this. Don't mess up or don't cut corners, because cutting corners in your community could mean, hey, we want to make that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so how you gonna do that? You told me before, a kid's walking around with a roll of cash in his pocket who's in 6th grade. He's got more money than I'll ever have in my pocket. How'd he get there? He cut some corners to get there. Well, that's all fine and good, but where's that going to end up when you get caught? You're just going to become one of the statistics, and that's going to lead you to more and more things that you can't dig your way out of. So a guy seeing that early on or experiencing that in life, bringing that to the table through the avenue of sports, I think it's the golden. I mean, he sees, I want to help these kids be something better than just what they're going to be, because it's so hard to function without that positive voice speaking. I mean, obviously, they're going to be more susceptible. They're set up for failure. You know what I mean? If they don't have those voices in their lives. And so I think, as jacked up as the public school system can be in Jackson or Memphis or wherever you are, dude, like, you've got people in those places that are serving a positive, influence in being a positive influence in their lives, and giving them the structure that inside they know that they really want and really need. You join a gang, there's structure within that gang, right?
Yeah.
There's need for discipline in that gang. It's in us to see that, man, it's a good thing to have organization. It's a good thing to have structure. It's a good thing to have somebody disciplining me in my life and not letting us all do whatever we want to do when we want to do it.
Right.
Whether you admit that or not, you gravitate towards needing that. When you see it, you value it, and I think that's why people go through that sports. And I think that's, obviously we don't think about it that way all the time, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're offering them what a father would offer them. We're offering them what a home should be offering them, and I think that's good, man. And so when you mention all those people, Jordan and Paul and Will and Brad and all this, I think, did you mean to mention them in light of coaching or just in light of just how they inspired you? Because I think every single person you mentioned were athletes, and every single person you mentioned kind of came up either with a coach, another coach, coached with another coach, or at least had some form of, we're pouring into athletes.
Yeah.
FCA or City Church, taking the kids out and playing football. They all served a coaching role on some level, I believe. Everybody you mentioned.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of cool, because Paul was a coach.
Yeah. I think
not Paul, the apostle. I don't know if he coached stickball with, I don't know.
No, I just think that
rowing.
Like rowing.
I'm sorry.
We're a coach. Come on.
Yeah, they rowing. GNC. Track. I think he ran from people every once in a while.
Oh man, no. But
Stone throw. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Crazy coach. No, I just think, with them people, coach is more like my grandma. She grew up picking cotton, and she would tell me stories and things like that. But when you got a woman like that who grew up picking cotton, who watched her mom pick cotton, and when she tells you, at a young age, I remember like when I was like 4, I remember her telling me something, vividly remember her telling me, like, there's a lot of things in this world that, you won't understand until you get older. And like, her telling me specifically, like, I never want you to hate somebody because of the color of their skin. And she wasn't talking about my people, she was talking about white people.
Yeah.
And, as I got older, coach, just, you slowly start to see, like, as a kid, like, when I first met, Luke and them, and Paul and them, like, I to be honest with you, other than like TV, like John Cena, like, Eddie Guerrero, those type of people, we ain't see no white people around. Like, he was just nothing but.
Well, Eddie Guerrero wasn't white.
He was Mexican,
yeah.
but still same thing.
I'm
right?
just, just keep it real.
He like, them type of people. We like.
We're not gonna talk about race. Video over. See ya.
But just like in general, I'm just breaking it down. Like when I was a kid, like I didn't, even though my grandma told me that, like I listened to her and heard everything she said, but like that wasn't my intention in the first place. And you slowly start to see that, like, there were some people in the community who didn't like Luke and them coming out, hand out lunches because they thought it was something that they wanted from us. But I mean, now I'm older, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, what could they have wanted from us? Nothing. They had structured homes, had both parents in the household, like, they were good. They were coming out spreading the gospel. And they helped change 3 lives. And me, Maurice, and Mario,
Shout out
obviously,
Mario.
we
graduated from the academy tomorrow.
Yeah.
He better watch this. Eat this burrito. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He was smashing. No, we don't. we don't, we don't obviously. Growing up, we didn't care about this stuff. We didn't see color, as most people say. But like having them in our lives from when we were kids till now, like I don't know about Maurice and Mario. I think they would think the same thing that I would think to an extent. But they have their own mindset and their own beliefs and on how they believe things and how they go about things. But like I'm 110% not. I'm not ashamed where I come from. I'm not ashamed of mistakes that I made. I used to beat myself up even as a Christian now, just like mistakes you make. Like, you know, it's obviously stop running from the past. God has covered that all, and He's grown me, and I'm continuously growing, and trying to be a better man every day, and trying to make sure that I'm leading others well and protecting my witness and standing above reproach. But it's just like this life is already hard, but I'm very thankful for like the impact, like I said, they had on all of us. Like they, you know, letting someone come around, your family, your kids, and then like me, Mario, Maurice watched all of them have kids. Like they'll have a second kid, but oh, she's pregnant with a third. Like really, and then like she's pregnant with a fourth, and I'm like, dang, okay. And then she's pregnant with a fifth, and I'm like, okay, that's nothing new to me. So
at some point, the storks ain't dropping them off.
yeah, so
Like,
so
come on, man.
So like you grow up watching that, but you see that you crazy coach. You
you learn.
You grow up watching that, and then you see that they're with one woman. Their household is in control. They're hospitable. They're doing the things that the word tells you. Even though some of them aren't even in ministry, but technically they are. And ministry is our everyday job, whether we work at a church or doing whatever. But like in the community.
Come on now you preaching.
I'm just saying, coach. Like we us three growing up, like our lives have changed tremendously. Like we aren't supposed to be where we are today, and we aren't supposed to have the maturity levels that we have, especially without mistakes, but without the Holy Spirit and without the guidance that we have had from other people that we believe and trust in and things like that. But just like seeing how their families operate growing up, going to their house, going to some of their Christmases and Thanksgivings and stuff like that. Like it makes you even more thankful for like what you had growing up as a kid. Everything still wasn't perfect with them, and it wasn't like they said, "Hey, we're the richest people in America. Like, let's do this." No, they weren't. What they showed us was love, and that they cared about us, and that they wanted us to be good, godly men, so that one day we could break our family's chain cycle, and then us get married to one woman, and then have many kids by one woman and be a good husband. But it's very encouraging too, because there's a lot of young black men out there probably same as me, like wondering can I be real with this? I'm just be honest. Like, can I be real with this white man? Can I open up to him? Because we have trust issues that have happened in our family, and me and Maurice, we close, we tight. That's my boy, and we talk a lot about stuff like that, and like our past, our mistakes with girls and things we did, and just like, bro, that was so stupid of me. Like, why did I do that? And things like that. So it's like, me and Maurice 110% see, the fruit in our lives, and we know that it's evident, and we know that, we didn't get there by ourselves. Obviously, we had community, and you can't make it in this world alone. You need community. You need people like that, and so that's where I say, with being a young black man and growing up through all that, and then having a relationship with you, being around your kids, and being around Paul and his kids, Luke and his kids, Jordan and his kids, and Coach Montgomery his kids, Coach Wooten and his son, and their families, and meeting their families, and I mean plenty of other people I can name, but I'm just saying the specific people that I go to church with, their family, and that have poured into me and loved on me. Just being around all of them, like their wives, Emily, April, Tiffany, Lauren. I mean, like Betsy, yeah, I mean Andrea, so many people like at the church that have like just poured time and effort into you, and then like for them to watch you become a good, healthy, godly young man and walking on a narrow path, like to them that's encouraging. But to me, it's encouraging to watch their kids grow up and then watch what they've done as parents, because it's like that's what I want.
Yeah.
You know, and then you see something different because when you're growing up, I see my uncles and cousins, got, you know, 5, 6 different baby mamas. It's like, dang, like my grandma would be like, that girl ghetto, you know, that girl ratchet, and you know that type of stuff. And like, you know, my grandma like, don't be like that, don't go for that, you know, that type of stuff. And she ain't saying don't go for, you know, a black woman when she said it. She just saying don't go for anybody that's ghetto ratchet. You got some white girls who ghetto and ratchet. So
Come on now.
I mean, but you know, nowadays when you're in videos like this, coach, you gotta break stuff down and you gotta, you know, clarify and stuff like that. So, but you know, the impact that the males have made on my life. You, Coach Montgomery, Coach Wooten, Paul Epperson, Luke Epperson, Jordan Ash, Adam Epperson. You got plenty of them more. Like I said, Walker. You know his brother Story. Like you know,
I went to school with Walker. He was
yeah. I mean,
years younger than me. Several years younger than me. But I went to school with him for a season.
Yeah, I mean, it's just solid
The
people.
Mullers were solid people.
Yeah, solid people to be around. And
Good Christian examples, even in like junior high and stuff like that. I remember seeing them.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you got somebody like him who's just, you know, being good to his wife and his kids on a daily, and every Sunday at church is always there. If they're not sick or you know if they're not out of town, like you seeing that, it encourages you to want to be a good healthy father one day and to do everything the right way. And you know, like in our community, it's you know I mean it's okay if you get married, you know, you start to get a little older, and you know you settle down. Like you know I find somebody and you do what you want to do, but it's kind of like marriage is not a vocal point in our communities. Like with the older generation, it is.
Yeah.
And so like I look at older people, like I tell you an example, somebody who's like a mother figure to me, like her name's LaShonda Graham, and she teaches at Hines, and like her, like you know, she'll tell you she like loves her family, loves her husband, and stuff like that. Like she does well, and then her best friend is Dr. Anderson. Like those two are phenomenal black ladies who are very capable of doing anything, and God can use them in many ways. And I'm not just saying this because I know them, because I, you know, if they somehow see this, they'll be like, oh, thank you for saying this. No,
Yeah.
I'm genuinely meaning this. I don't need a feedback from them. I'm just saying that, you know, these are women that I see who come in to work every day. They work hard. They go back and they live on their children and their husbands, and like, you know, they're just like anybody else. They're simple people, but at the same time, they realize that, you know, a structured home is what it needs to be. But I don't know, just like, you know, I think about my generation. Yeah, marriage is not on their mind. They want the biggest, the baddest things. Like you know, when it comes to looks and all this other type of stuff, and it's just kind of like, nah, I get it. You know, looks do matter. You know, to a certain extent, but beauty fades. The Bible clearly speaks to that. So like, thinking about the things of the words and just following instructions and realizing like, hey, like marriage is a good thing. Being a father and a mother is a good thing. And like, you know, honoring God with what all you do is a good thing. These things aren't taught in the black community a lot. Only on Sundays. And then, you know, from what I've seen, a lot of people the older black people that don't go to church, like they've been did wrong by, you know, a pastor or somebody, and they feel like their money that they're tithing is not going to you know, any things that are beneficial, and you know they're like, I don't like this, so they start going to church. It's a few of them I know, and they're like, nope, not gonna jip me out of a dollar again. And so it's kind of like, you know,
That's everywhere. Yeah.
like you know, and I know it's in the white community too as well. And so you just like it's everywhere, but you know, these are things that are not taught in my community. Like it's taught that hey, you can be anything you want to be, and I'm gonna be honest with you, coach, like the phrase is good. Thumbs up for everybody who believes in that. But me personally, if I wanted to be an NBA basketball star, no matter how hard I work, no matter how bad that I dribble and everything like that, like I'm not gonna be Muggsy Bogues or anybody like that. You know, like I mean,
That ain't gonna make it either. I'm not gonna be able to do that.
I'm just saying. So like, you know, when people say that, they like in the community, you hear a lot of times it's like, dang, like you got people who believe in the things, and then like, what if they get a Achilles tear or you know ACL tear or something like that? What? And then the doctor said you can never play sports
Yeah,
again.
well, that's right.
You told them you could be anything you want to be. Now they're like, well, can I still do this? It's like, no. Be realistic with somebody. You can do anything that you're capable of doing, as in like that you think that you can. That's a calling to you. Like I'm professional sports. I didn't try to aim for that. You know, I mean, I think every kid when they're younger is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be an NFL football player. I'm gonna be, you know, this or you know, some kids think I'm gonna be a WWE wrestler. It's like, no, man, that stuff is like super hard to get into, and like there's a lot of ways around things. You gotta think about these things, and so like you know, I really think deep on that and how much I've been very thankful just to see like, hey, you know, like my number one goal right now is to continue to love on, you know, the kids that I mentor at the church and um, continue to love on my family the best I can. And when I talk to them and see them, and not only that, just to, you know, I solely want to be a father and just that's my number one goal now. And it's changed because you know I have Christ and you know I know for a fact that I haven't done life alone. And like watching you be a good father and a good husband, and like your help and what you've done in my life, and how much you help and push and encourage me. The phone calls we have that last sometimes 2 hours or an hour or longer than 2 hours. Just like to you, you just like I'm talking to Ish, but like I'll never forget those things. I'll never forget the times when I got dinner and lunch with Coach Montgomery, Coach Wooten, and his wife, and all these things. Like I cherish these things. You know, I hold dear to this stuff. It's like it's not just another day with this. Maybe for y'all it is, but like for me, I hold this stuff dear because I don't, you know, you don't have a structure home. You don't have what other people have. So like you just as a young man, you just learn to you know take the hand you dealt and work hard and try to get by. But like you know now just looking back on all that, hey, coaches matter for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches matter, and you know what you say and what you do can definitely impact the student, believe it or not. And kids always watch and they observe, and you know they remember things you tell them. And you know for ones that have that mentality, like I'm gonna prove you wrong. I've seen some students and some of my friends go back and tell coaches or teachers that you said I was gonna do this, but look what I'm doing now. And you know it's like you know even if you're a teacher and it's the hardest thing to do, or a coach and it's the hardest thing to do, and you have kids that don't want to listen, don't give up on anybody. And I know it's hard. You know, it's easy to say, but you know, action-wise, it's a little hard to do when you have somebody who's hard-headed and disobedient and stubborn. But um, a lot of kids out there want to be loved. Social media is not the way. Um, you know, drugs, sex, music ain't the way. Whether it's country or rap, none of that stuff matters. Like all this stuff that you know we live on a day-to-day basis is gonna fade away, and it's just more ways to keep us distracted and keep us far away from Christ, and it's leading us astray from the narrow path to the wide gates. And so just like you know, yeah, I'm for the coaches and the teachers out there, just a little bit of encouragement, just to say you know like don't give up on the ones that might be a headache. Those are the ones that might end up shocking you, and for the ones that got it together, just remember to continue to encourage them and to love on them and always be there for them. And if you're a Christian, really do it because the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself, and obviously, and you know encourage one another, uplift one another, and you know just let them know you'll be there for them. You know I know sometimes there's boundaries with school rules and things like that, and you know all of that, but like I always try to you know reach out, let a child or you know a young teenager know that you're there for them because kids might not have the home life you think they have and things like that. So you can definitely make a difference. And you know, he sure has in my life and a lot of other people I've named. Life is tough, life is hard, but when you're a Christian and you're going through a lot and you have good community around you, that makes it much easier. And so like, you know, just I'm thankful for what the Lord's done in my life and what he's done in his life and what I've seen from him and just kinda like, you know, just today being able to come see him and, you know, have a day off and just kind of, you know, ease my mind and clear my mind. But to be able to see him and stop by and shake hand and give him a hug and talk to him and just catch up and stuff like that. It's been, a whirlwind. You can't do that with most people. So it's a good thing. But coaches taught me a lot. He's been there for me too. And so I don't know, just encouraging, coaches and teachers out there that, it might be hard, but don't give up on kids.
No, it's one of those things you pour in now, and you honestly you don't realize the impact you're making. I didn't realize the impact that just the little bit that I don't even feel like I did a whole lot when it comes to you or anybody else for that matter, because I was so just survival mode, trying to teach, trying to finish seminary, trying to be an associate pastor, and then enter into pastoring, just holding on for dear life, doing what I'm doing. But in that short season there, I mean, I can't say I did a whole lot, but I can say that for people have reached out over the years and have talked about how much this particular thing meant, and even when I was like, oh man, that was something I didn't even think about that day. I just did it. You know what I mean? Like it's an eye opener for me to be mindful of every single person who comes across your path. Even not just football, I'm talking about my classroom. When the kid comes by at the end of the class, it just tells you, I just want you to know this is going on in my life, or I just want you to know that I was encouraged today. Don't just write that off, man. That was a heart connection that kid felt from you. He felt love from you. He felt acceptance from you. He felt safe with you. Whatever that is, and this is for not just for teachers, this is for anybody. This is for people in general, the people that God puts in our path. We are usually so self-absorbed we don't see the good we're doing or the bad we're doing. Mm-hmm. And what these stories and you talking about this reminds me of is that just to be intentional about listening to people. And I didn't realize how much listening was important to you until we had the conversation and you venting over some stuff, and it kind of hit me in the heart, because I was like, man, I don't listen like I should. I don't listen to him. I'm always trying to fix. So I'm not listening for the whole story. I'm listening for, let me give me something I can fix. Yeah. Because that's just the way men are. We're like, coaches are too. I mean, we want to fix it. If it's broke, we want to fix it. But sometimes in order to fix something, you need to listen to the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I can't just run there and fix one little tick in the engine. I got to figure out where that's coming from. Yeah. And or else I'm just band-aiding something. But it helps me to be more mindful of that. And where I see that you talked a little, you went into the church too, because these guys who planted this church and who participated in this church and who have impacted have used it's overlapped with coaching, it's overlapped with teaching, it's overlapped with education. That's their life, that's their hearts, that's their sports has been part of their lives. That's who they are, and they brought who they are to where you are. Mm-hmm. And all of that is just kind of you got to see the family model, not just from a Sunday morning sermon, but from people doing life, and this is the way they do life. And that's what they brought it into that community for. They recognized a need that, you got God doing all kind of stuff in that community already, but they recognized a need that they can bring to the table there, and then showing the strong male role model who is serving Jesus and not weak because of it, Right. And at the same time, giving you guys an opportunity to come over and experience, a Christian education or whatever through their connection with Dr. Prather and I guess some other connections of Paul Epperson and Missy Biggs and some others who we were able to get you guys and get a few of you guys to Hillcrest to get a Christian education out of that, give you other options and at least hear the gospel. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason you kind of went into the overlapping with the coaching in the churches, because that's the people who did it. And man, I'm telling you, a coach and a teacher impact more people in this world than I think most people do. A coach and a teacher on fire for Jesus, living the Christian life, not just a Sunday morning thing, but their whole life is about Christ. Yeah. Man, way more of an impact, because it's serving a purpose. It's serving an eternal purpose. It's at least highlighting that eternal purpose that we have to be worshipers of God. And I think that's awesome. And it's awesome too to see, as you've grown up, you've seen, as my pastor said today, God, none of us are perfect, and God chooses to use us. God chooses to use the church to proclaim His gospel, and He said, we're all jacked up. Basically, these are my words, but he says, God's able to draw a straight line with a crooked stick. And so I was like, you're right. He uses me every day, and he's chosen to use his church to do that. So you're going to see flaws in these people, and you're going to see times when coaches, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to say the wrong thing. Something's going to slip out of your mouth, or something's going to come freely out of your mouth. And you're going to realize one day how much of a negative impact that was, right? And you're going to do something, say something, participate in the wrong joke, or maybe even do something terrible, detrimental to your testimony, but God's not through with you because of that. You repent of that. You learn from your mistakes. You get up and you keep being positive, because not only are they seeing the times that you've jacked up, they're also seeing the times that you are repenting, and what that looks like for you to get up and admit you're wrong, be the man, own up to your responsibilities, and start living the right. Did that at FedEx when I was coach. Told you about my buddy Pat. Told you about some Juan and all those guys that I was working with. But I tried to do that because I messed up a couple times. Got mad, man, in that chaotic environment. The old Josh came out. The times I was going through some depression and stuff, all that stuff came to a head. And this guy's thinking about himself one day, and I was like, oh, yelled at him, and then I was just like, dude, I'm so sorry, and I, just modeled repentance. And I don't know if he, knew at that moment, oh, this is Jesus, that this is Jesus he's acting like. But for the most part, he realized, hey, man, this guy came back and showed me mercy and compassion, and tried to fix what he messed up, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And they knew that I was a Christian, and they knew that I was there as a missionary, even though I did not act like one at that time. So if you've messed up as a coach, if you've been that negative, and I can sit here and go through, we're running out of time here, but I can sit here and go through, all right, tell me something that a coach, no names, did that was a negative impact that you saw that, like, man, this influenced me in a negative way, and I picked up on that habit, or do you have a particular anything that might have, you saw that could have been a negative thing, where a guy's going to take a person who's showing him love, affection, attention, and he's gravitating toward that role model, and then that role model's doing something that's not in line with the character of Christ?
Oh yeah, all the time.
You just one specific example of something like that?
I think I remember. It was.
No names.
Yeah, I ain't saying any names.
You coach Purdue.
No. I remember just 10th grade. I remember just coming from, junior varsity, and then me and a guy named Joe Estabrook were the only two ninth graders that moved up to the varsity team, and we moved up and we played some high school games my ninth grade year, and I'm like, it's a different ball game. We're playing like Magnolia Heights and all these guys, and then next year, 10th grade year, obviously we got weights, and Coach Montgomery and Coach Wooten very passionate about a lot of things when it comes to sports, and they definitely want to help you get strong mentally and strong physically, and just to do the right thing on the field. Make sure you know the plays, and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do to take care of your responsibilities. But I don't know, just remember one time on the sideline, it was a game, and I think this was the first time this kid had made like a mistake. Like, for the most part, this kid literally when I say he didn't mess up, like, he really carried his weight the entire year. And I remember it was something that was said to him that he just didn't like. So towards the end of the second quarter, going into halftime, you just kind of like, screw it. Like, I'm done playing like the way I was playing. And sure enough, third and fourth quarter, when he was wide open, ball was thrown his way, and there would be times the ball would be like right here, and he could easily catch it, but he was like, oh, that was too far left, or it was too far right. And it happened like 2 or 3 times, and I remember on the third time I was like, he could have caught that one, but he didn't, because he felt discouraged. He was like, do you not see like the hard work I've put in from game 1 to now? And you get mad at me and frustrated, and you yell at me in a certain type of way. And it's just, that's part of coaching. But at the same time, a lot of coaches would be like, That's you. You want to be sensitive? Go ahead.
Yeah.
And not all coaches are like, they don't think about feelings and emotions. They can care less. They're like, it's football. Either you can get over what I said, or you can just keep it pushing. But then I've seen some coaches where they've said something and maybe they didn't, ask for forgiveness that day, but the next day, um, they found the kid or called the kid out of class and
Yeah.
talked to him. And
Yeah.
you walk out in the hallway and you see, them hugging, or the kid got his head in coach's shoulder or something like that. So it's like you see moments like that, and you're like, coach loves us.
Yeah.
You know he does. When you see him love on another player like that, especially if it's a junior or senior, you're like, there's no way he doesn't love me. So
he does. But some of the things that I understand what you're getting at, and the way we can talk to people can discourage them to the point where they can't be productive. You know what I mean? And so that kind of goes into a philosophy of coaching and knowing your players and knowing how you can coach them. But when it goes to from the Christian perspective of us falling and maybe going too far in the flesh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To or just being I remember a coach one time who was basically partying with the kids and preaching at the practices, like preaching about Jesus at the practices and partying with the kids at the parties, like not going and doing the or doing the robot stuff, not that kind of. I'm talking about getting drunk with the kids.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, dude, these kids are underage. You know what I'm saying? And not just that, you know what I mean? Like that's why people look at people and say there's hypocrisy in the church.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because there's religious people who are mean. You know what I mean? They don't have it in their heart. It's also the people that do the cultural Christianity thing and say all the phrases and then don't live it at all. And so I guess what I'm saying is there's well, first off, even if they're not a Christian, there's things that people you look up to do that you emulate. Your rappers, your country music people, all these people. I see both sides. I see all sides going after their role models.
Yeah.
When a person expresses that heart, gets that heart connection, expresses that love and that admiration, you are going to model them. You're going to start doing what they do. If they're on steroids, you want to be big too like them, and you're going to start embracing some of those things, which are terrible for you, by the way.
Yeah.
But you admire them so much that you go down that path, and they didn't ask you to go down that path with them. It's the heart connection you made with them, the respect, the position that you've been given, where you didn't mean to, but you caused them to stumble, because there's people in every one of those gyms and locker rooms that are looking up to you and maybe not even ever told you that, but are trying to be like you. And when they see the guy going out and smoking weed, on the weekends, or getting drunk with the other coaches at the coaching clinics, or doing all that stuff, and they hear about that, it's already a temptation for a young kid. And when he sees the person that they value, the male that they value most in their life, that is freely doing that, and I'm not saying drinking a beer is a sin. I'm just saying getting drunk is, and you're living that lifestyle and applauding that lifestyle, and worse, you're bringing that lifestyle down to a teenage kid. I had people in my life like that, and I love them, and I think they're great people. And if they hear any of that, it's not to condemn. It's just like, man, people are watching our actions, right? And I screw up all the time, right? It's a matter of don't beat yourself up, but learn from your mistakes and know that there's a reason that he tells us not to be a stumbling block for others. There's a reason that we can't just freely do anything that's not beneficial for us, because we cause other people to stumble. And if you're a Christian in that environment, then you sure should know what the Bible says and should be wanting to display the character of Christ for those people. And you should already know, mosquito hawk, sorry. You should already know that you're being an influence. You are called to be salt. You are called to be light. And that's not me calling people out. That's me saying that to myself, that I mess up all the time. But at least, we have the Holy Spirit within us, and we have the Word of God within us that tells us, you just messed up. Alert, alert, alert.
Yeah.
You transgressed. You did this. Let's make this right. Make it right with God. Confess your sin. Agree with Him. Repent of that. And then, hey, make it right with the one you offended and that you caused to stumble. And I think there's value in it would. Don't you think it's valuable if a person who is the male role model, the figure in your life that you're looking up to, that's teaching you how to be a man, teaches you think it's I think it's a good thing if he can come to you and say, I'm sorry, man, I was wrong, to learn how to confess and to repent.
Yep.
For you to see that, it's humility is a good thing, and we're not taught to value that in this world. We're taught to be proud of what you got and bow up and do all this stuff, and you see humility as a sign of weakness. But in the scriptures, he teaches us to be humble,
Right.
and that's going to be the way in which we grow. And
Cool.
so I think it's an important attribute for coaches to have, is just admit you're wrong and to turn from it and continue to try to do right and be that good example, be that salt and light. So.
Yeah, I think too, Coach, just kind of like what you said, just kind of, my opinion on it is, my opinion, it's not, good advice or bad advice, but just trying to think from more of a spiritual side, like you said, and biblical side. It's more of like I always think about it like this. If I didn't have mentors that I didn't have, God knows where I'd be.
Shoot.
I don't know. So it's like, I'm very thankful for the people that I have pouring into me. With the people that I see every day and staff meeting on Tuesdays, Jay, Will, Luke, and then got people outside that poured into me when I was a kid that I still have, Paul. People I can go to their jobs and sit down and talk with them, Jordan, Adam, get lunch with them, and I can go to Brad's house and get advice whenever I need to. And then not only that, on the flip side, having the women who are like mother figures, Tiffany, Lauren, talking to you about stuff that you don't know. That's, like I said, once again, it goes back to that culture difference. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't know that, the white community does, the black community doesn't. It's like, wait a minute, this happens. Like, and so, all those things, they play a part in the people that, you surround yourself with. Bad company does corrupt good morals. And not only that, like, I'm thankful for all those people I just named because they teach me daily, like, hey, this is what I want in life. I want a family. I want to be a family man and just, respect other women. Overall, obviously, I think everybody's made their mistakes, but at the same time, just respect women overall, and try to seek after a godly woman. And then not only that, what the men have taught me is to be a man worth following. How could you lead someone's daughter, plus most of all God's daughter, and how can He entrust you with His daughter if you're not leading well, and He knows you're not leading well? And so, those things are super important and huge, but it's like, I think about other people and I see the mistakes that they make, or, some of my friends that are young and they make stupid and inappropriate jokes constantly, do whatever, whether it's at work or outside of work, and I'm just kind of like, well, maybe they don't have what I have. And it's not me to judge, but it's me to say, you know what, like, pray that they can get something like that, or like, try to, hold them accountable to do that. And, if that doesn't work, then just continue to pray. God has it, and, one of the things we have to do is, as human beings that are saved by the Holy Spirit, is to give grace and mercy, but not only that, be patient with other people. I think that's one of the things that young people, we don't have patience, and older people definitely are starting not to have more patience with younger people because we want to act like we know everything. But then I can bite my tongue on that one, and then young people can say the same thing about old people, and then old people can say the same thing about young people. So it's vice versa. Like, you can go either way with that, but it's like finding that balance. And I think one of the things that this was 2 months ago, that really stuck with me, 2 words, was balance and self-control.
Yeah.
And me and Will talk a lot about just family a lot, and he's very family oriented, and he's big on like the community he's served in, and he wants to see the black community thrive at its finest again and things like that. And this is somebody who is not racist and who 100% is not looking to try to do this or do that, but he's looking to try to love on people and be there for people. But these people, they make a difference. And just overall, coach, just remembering these things, that you know, keep yourself around good company, keep yourself around good people, and you know, be patient with people, and try to make sure that you're uh, doing what's right according to God's word, staying above reproach, and just watching out for yourself, and being aware too, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of what you're doing. Sometimes we can make a rational decision without thinking, and so just be very mindful of those things. And not only that, and one thing I do now that most people, if y'all don't, whoever might watch this, but if y'all don't have anybody to go to, man, find somebody that you trust a lot that you probably aren't close to, but start to get close with them. Reach out to them and ask them for advice before you make a decision or anything like that, because most of the time, we make decisions and we just don't think about it, like I said. So, oh yeah, those things are definitely big on what you were saying, Coach. So I agree with you, but I also think about it just those people probably didn't have what you and I have, and so it and knowing that, have patience with those people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna expect somebody to grow like a weed in 2 days when they just got done smoking a blunt 2 days ago. So I mean, just common sense, just knowledge.
You got to be patient, and even in my early ministry days, it's just being impatient with other ministers or other coaches or other teachers who would be leading the Bible studies, yet their life didn't look like it was like they were pursuing Christ at all, but they were the ones who were put in charge of the Bible study or whatever, and I would just grow impatient with them. I was just like, man, what are you doing? And then there is an element of, as a pastor in my heart, kind of caring for, what are you teaching them? Are you leading them away from what this is teaching? If that's not your values, then you're not going to be passing those values down.
Right.
I will say this, that's true, but what I have learned over the years as God has grown me in humility and grace, has been that, man, they were pretty good at heart connections, and they were pretty good at least establishing relationships to where, and they made an impact even if they were flawed. And now I'm seeing I'm flawed. I know I'm flawed, but it's kind of like you look back and you go, man, God was using this coach, God was using that coach, God was using this teacher for the glory of God, even the crooked stick concept. You know what I mean? And so I've been like, I've had to repent. I've been like, God, I judged a person, and I shouldn't be judging anything before the time. And at the same time, but either you use discernment on who you're going to put in charge of your kids or any of that kind of stuff. But there is an element of, you're right, be patient with them all. Encourage the weak, strengthen the weak, encourage the faint-hearted, and be patient with them all. That's hard for all of us. And I'm kind of like, I got to be patient with myself sometimes too, because I'm my worst critic. But the coolest thing about you and what I've seen is that what you've experienced and what you've gotten from the church, the role models that you've gotten, the love, the grace that you've got at times, and none of them are perfect, and neither am I, and giving you and helping you, and then grace that you have to have, and patience you have to have for me, because I'm not perfect either. But you're taking the things that you're saying that you're learning, everything you just explained on here, and I'm watching you model. Every time I call you, every time you call me, every time I put you on Facebook, FaceTime the other day, whenever I was at school, and there's kids sitting in the back seat, that you're carting around, that you're taking to eat, that you're putting them in front of these same mentors, or you're just spending time taking them to the park, or taking them to kick the ball around, or throw the football, throw the baseball, or whatever. What you're learning was impactful for you and gave you a positive influence and helped through coaching, through teaching, through mentorship, through discipleship, whatever. You are not just taking it into your mind and consuming it all for yourself. You are taking it, consuming it, getting what you need from it, and then multiplying that bread for the kids. And there's a kid over here that's waiting to go home, and he's asleep, but it's a kid here that you are mentoring, and it's a kid here that you're showing that same male role model to. And I think that's awesome. That's golden. That's you learning to make disciples. That's you learning to give as you've freely been given, to turn around and do the same thing. You're not just taking advantage. You're not taking advantage of the church. You're not taking advantage of God's grace. You are multiplying it. You're being blessed to be a blessing, and I think that you continue that concept. That kid will remember that. That kid will continue that, and I say if you ain't coaching, you need to get into some coaching. Maybe you can help pour into these kids. West Memphis Christian, we need a good track coach because I'm terrible at it.
I'm not a track coach.
And no, we got Miss Baker helping us out, and she's pretty good at it. And,
Miss Baker.
Yeah, Coach Baker. She's the beast at the athletics. But anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. And I'm grateful for you. Know I love you, and I know that you love me, and you show me all the time by your calls and texts and encouragement, and always have been an encourager. And I know that you're doing the same thing for these kids. I'm thankful that we got a chance. We're both tired. You're not cold anymore, are you?
No, I'm not cold no more.
I told you you're gonna get hot when you start talking about this stuff.
Man, no. The air turned off. That's what it was. The air turned off.
Somebody pushed the
air
button
turned off
there. But no, I've enjoyed it, man. I appreciate you, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this. We'll do more in the future, and just talk about life in general, what's going on. Maybe next time you can share, more about what you do, like going to work every day, working your job, and how you're just a light in that community, and that God's given Ishmael a special gift of being able to build relationships with people quick, being able to meet people and touch a heart quick, to where, man, I think that's an evangelistic gift and quality that you have. To you tell me about everybody you've met, and I'm gonna introduce you to the owner of this restaurant. I'm gonna introduce you to the president of this country, and I'm like, how do you know these people? Like, how do you get in with those cliques, man? He just finds himself in situations, presidents of seminaries, presidents of the. I'm going, dude. He just walks up and meets them, and the next thing you know, he's having lunch with them, and I just and I commend you for that. That's a quality that I think that God can use, and God is using, but God can use. Embrace that and pour into. Use that. Use your personality. Use the gifts. Use the things God's given you, and go after it, man. And it's gonna look different than. I'm Pastor Ishmael and at Soul Time City Church over here at West Jackson. God's going to use you, and God is using you right where you are, and God's going to continue to use that. And I think He's going to use you in the church and outside the church. I think He is already. So keep focused on what God puts before you every day. I'm going to try to do the same thing and be whatever He calls you to be in the moment that He calls you to be in. Because we're not, as Jesus said, promised another day. So I can sit here and stew and worry about, am I going to be coaching at this place next year? Am I going to be pastoring at this place next year? Am I going to be an evangelist out here next year? Will somebody call me to be their transitional pastor, their pastor, or whatever? I can sit there and fret all day long, but at the end of the day, He says, today has enough troubles as its own, and you're not promised another day. Not promised any of that. You are given the moment that you've been given. And He said, trust God while you're there, seek Him with all your heart, and God's going to give you the desires of your heart. And so as you're seeking Him first, seeking first the kingdom of God, He lays those desires in your heart, and you continue to go and glorify Him. And so I'm going to do that in coaching for right now, and pour into the people I have, and just try to be intentional about those heart connections that are being made. And even when I'm having a bad day, to know that, hey, God's working right here. Whether I'm seeing it or not, God's working. He's put people in my path, in those seats before me. He's put people in your path for you to sell them goofy shoes that you said that didn't look good. But man, I'm gonna come get a pair too. So go see my boy Ish down there at the Feets. Get him fitted up, get that commission. You don't get no commission?
No, we don't get commission. No commission.
I thought they was gonna. Why you care about if he's first then? They selling it up, man. He's selling it up, man.
The days I haven't coached, that first, I gotta show you the hard work I put in. So.
All right, man. Well, it's been good doing this at Mama's house, and get you stuff, and you better get out. That way you can get to work in the morning on time and go see Maurice eat a burrito and graduate the police academy. Yeah, man. I taught Maurice. His success, it all goes back to me having him in class and teaching him how to do the drum roll. What do you call it? Praise break.
Praise break.
In the middle of class, man. Now God's blessing him. God's using him at the police department. And dude, I'm telling you what, I got a lot of good people, friends that are police officers that are fans of the Lord, but desperately need the Lord in their life. And to put an evangelistic heart, put a heart that loves Jesus in a group, and especially a funny person like Maurice who can attract a crowd or whatever, man. Like God knows what He's doing, and we want to take we want to take people out and put them where we think that they should be, and that sort of thing. But you tell me, does God love police officers? Does God love the hard? They get hardened by the streets, right? And I'm going into a whole new thing, but we'll talk about vocation later. But think about that for a second. I mean, some of the hardened you have to be when you're in that position.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be tough. You have to be rough. You have to be, and to put someone like my buddy Cornelius, you put somebody like that in the midst of those people that say you can be a godly man in this role. Now you're gonna be a stern man. Cornelius, I ain't gonna put my hands on Cornelius. I ain't gonna mess with him. But Cornelius is one of the most grace-filled, God-loving, God-fearing men that I know, and I think Maurice is gonna be used in the same way in firemen too. So we need Jesus, and God puts you there, don't leave. You know what I mean? Like, be that salt, be that light wherever you are, and then coach on the side. But anyway, I hope you're blessed by this. Sorry, we're half asleep, and he's Eskimo cold, and I'm burning up, and so trying to find a happy medium. Sorry about the hymnal in the back, whatever this thing is Mama's got back here on we're in her dining room or something like that. What do you call this dining room? Mosquito hawks flying by. But hope you're blessed by this. If you got any comments you want to share them with me. Give me a shout out. Shout out to all y'all, 3 people who are listening to this, and we love you, and we'll see you next time.
Coach, you true.